everything prosperous.
As we bid farewell to the old year and welcome you to the new year,
may your heart be filled with joy and your home with laughter. And of course, may your spirit be filled with hope.
we'll be bringing you live updates, exciting performance, and inspiring stories throughout the day.
Stay tuned for our special New Year's coverage and let's make this year unforgettable.
Thank you for making us a part of your celebration.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing.
And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
Hey guys, what's up? How you all doing? They call me Ovisha Nelson One, your number one celebrity host, and you are watching Voice of the People Television, VOP. Stay tuned.
Uyi Osarate is my name. I am a friend of the microphone, Voice of the People TV. That name is unique, and the brand is very sweet. I like the packaging. Picture qualities, camera qualities, and then of course, the quality of human beings I see sometimes on your channel. I talk and get paid, and I look forward to being in your studios.
Oh yes, you are on to Voice of the People TV, live here in Benin City, the cradle of black civilization. What are you waiting for? Tune in, bro.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People Television, where your health has a voice.
Hello there, my name is Damilola Ogunsi, also known as the Goldfish.
Hi, my name is Chike Bright Emmanuel. I'm an actor and a filmmaker.
Hello peeps, my name is Yomi E. Adejumo.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Utomi.
Hi everyone, my name is Stacey Benjamin and this is Voice of the People TV.
I need you to keep it locked to VOP TV. See, are you looking for good entertainment? You want to get good movies, good music, politics, talk shows, sports and entertainment. You really want a channel that gives you everything you need without you having to run around. VOP is where you are. That's Voice of the People.
If you're not listening to this, you're not one of us. And you deserve to be killed. Scrap charge. Don't be killed, but watch it. Or I'll find you. And I want you.
And you are locked on VOP TV. Don't go nowhere. This is where the juice is. This is where all you need for entertainment, politics, movies, and whatnot.
And keep watching VOP TV.
So keep it locked because I'm locked already, man, and it's money back guarantee. So you're gonna have a good time because I do.
And please keep watching VOP TV.
I want to actually, I beg you, subscribe, watch it. If not, whatever you see.
You better not touch that die because VOP is the plot.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
we encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
Hey guys, what's up? How you all doing? They call me Ovisha Nelson One, your number one celebrity host, and you are watching Voice of the People Television, VOP. Stay tuned.
Uyo Sarate is my name. I am a friend of the microphone, Voice of the People TV. That name is unique, and the brand is very sweet. I like the packaging, picture qualities, camera qualities, and then of course, the quality of human beings that I see sometimes on your channel. I talk and get paid, and I look forward to being in your studios.
Oh yes, you are on
VOP TV. Now,
Well, hello and welcome to News Hour on Voice of the People TV. A happy new year to you. I am Vivian Oguche.
And I am Nenna Ndomdioto. Before we begin, kindly visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. First, the headlines. Prayers, fireworks as Nigerians and the world welcome 2026.
Tinubu pledges return of peace and strong economy.
Akpabio withdraws all defamation suits after sermon.
Jonathan urges people-centered leadership to save Nigeria.
Article says Nigerians victims of Tinubu's incompetence and bad policies.
NAS directs release of signed bills for public scrutiny.
On the foreign scene, Brazil's Supreme Court rejects Bolsonaro's house arrest request.
Well, in business news, Ebonyi buys 3 aircraft for commercial flight.
In sports, Gabon suspends national team and bans Aubameyang and others.
Well, in entertainment news, Nollywood Christmas film sparks copyright breach claims.
Now the news in details. Nigerians joined other revelers around the world on Thursday to toast the start of 2026, bidding farewell to a volatile year 2025 with as many conflicts and upheavals and of course successes and joys. From church service to picnics and parties, millions celebrated with prayers, fireworks and music, capturing moments of joy, reflection and hope at the dawn of the much expected new year, following a year 2025 marked by different political and economic challenges, among others. Across Nigeria, millions trooped into churches for reflections and prayers, praise and worship, just as fireworks lit the skyline as the time hit 12 a.m., signaling the dawn of the new year. Meanwhile, Kiribati, followed by countries like New Zealand and Australia, were among the first to welcome 2026, while several Asian nations, including Japan, South Korea, China, and India, followed shortly afterwards.
And in his New Year message to Nigerians, President Bola Tinubu assured more robust economic growth for Nigeria in 2026, pledging to drive down inflation, strengthen foreign reserve, and sustain the country's gross domestic product (GDP) growth trajectory. The president expressed confidence in the nation's collective resolve, stating that Nigeria, its citizens, and all who call Nigeria home will experience a more prosperous new year. He stated that his administration sustained momentum on major reforms in 2025, achieved a fiscal reset, and recorded steady economic progress, with the country recording tangible and measurable gains, particularly in the economy, in spite of the persistent global economic headwinds. According to him, those achievements reaffirm the administration's belief that its difficult but necessary reforms were moving the country in the right direction, with more concrete results on the horizon for the ordinary Nigerian. Tinubu disclosed that Nigeria closed 2025 on a strong note, with annualized GDP growth expected to exceed 4% for the year, while trade surpluses were maintained, greater exchange rate stability achieved, and inflation declining steadily to below 15%. On security, he acknowledged that the nation continues to confront threats from criminal and terrorist elements. However, he assured that in 2026, security and intelligence agencies will deepen cooperation with regional global partners to eliminate all threats to national security.
Senate President Senator Godswill Akpabio has directed his lawyers to withdraw all ongoing defamation lawsuits against several individuals. Akpabio, who had filed nearly 9 lawsuits against individuals who he accused of defaming him, said at the Sacred Heart Parish in Uyo on Thursday that he was moved by the clerics' council during the New Year Mass, disclosing that he has almost 9 cases in court against some individuals that he claimed lied against him and slandered his name. The Senate president said that after listening to the priest, he suddenly realized that the cleric was talking to him. Consequently, he has directed the solicitor to withdraw all pending lawsuits. To be recalled that among them, Akpabio had in 2025 filed several high-profile defamation lawsuits, including one against a colleague, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan.
Well, still on the new year, former President Dr. Goodluck Jonathan has urged Nigerian leaders to prioritize the welfare of citizens and embrace people-centered leadership in 2026. Making a call in his New Year message to Nigerians, he warned that unity, shared responsibility, and integrity are essential to safeguarding the country's future amid economic strain and persistent insecurity. In a statement by his media assistant, Wells Omenambo, the former president reflected on the challenges of the past year and appealed for renewed commitment to service and national ideals. Thanking God for the gift of life and the privilege of a new beginning, Jonathan acknowledged the difficulties of the past year, noting that economic pressure and insecurity tested the resilience of Nigerians, causing hardship and losses for many families.
In the meantime, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has described 2025 as one of the most punishing years in Nigeria's recent history, blaming this on what he called President Bola Tinubu's incompetence and bad policies. In his New Year message, Atiku stated the citizens suffered what he called economic suffocation, political recklessness, and governance without empathy under the ruling All Progressive Congress. According to him, 2025 exposed Tinubu's incompetence and policy bankruptcy in stark terms, as his administration governed the country for months without a functional budget. He added that the government relied on propaganda while borrowing recklessly, pushing the nation to the brink of economic collapse. Atiku stated that in the same year, Nigeria's democratic foundations were deliberately weakened as the APC worked systematically to deform the nation's multi-party democracy into a de facto one-party state through coercion, intimidation, and state capture.
Meanwhile, a former Minister of Transportation, Chibike Amechi, has urged Nigerians to demand responsive and accountable leadership as part of efforts to achieve a national turning point in 2026. In his New Year message, Amechi said the country's challenges over the past year, including economic hardship, rising cost of living, and insecurity, should compel citizens to take a more active role in holding those in power accountable. According to him, meaningful progress will only be possible if Nigerians collectively insist on leadership that is responsible, transparent, and people-oriented. The former governor of Rivers State further called for comprehensive economic reforms targeted at job creation, poverty reduction, and improved living standards, including access to affordable healthcare, housing, food, and quality education. He also emphasized the importance of political and electoral reforms that to guarantee free, fair, and transparent election with justice, fairness, and the rule of law as the foundation of governance.
At the party level, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has asked the federal government to prioritize the protection of lives and property in 2026, stating that Nigerians have endured prolonged insecurity, economic hardship, and a cycle of unfulfilled promises. In a New Year message, the National Publicity Secretary, Ini Ememobong, the party warned against a drift into another year of excuses and unmet expectations, adding that 2026 must mark a clear turning point in governance. According to the PDP, governance should be driven by the needs and welfare of ordinary Nigerians rather than partisan interest. It noted that insecurity, economic hardship, and uncertainty have become the daily reality for millions of Nigerians, warning that public patience was wearing thin, that leadership in 2026 must be judged by concrete action rather than rhetoric.
Now on to the ongoing dispute over the tax reforms laws. The National Assembly leadership has directed the Clerk of the National Assembly to release the bills signed into law by President Bola Tinubu for public scrutiny. This comes as the lawmakers aim to address the growing public concerns over the alleged discrepancies between the legislature's votes and proceedings and the gazetted versions of the recently passed tax acts. In a statement signed on behalf of the National Assembly Clerk by the Director of Information, Bola B. Allah, the legislature said the decision followed widespread calls for transparency over the controversial tax reforms. According to the statement, the transmitted tax bills, including the certificate pages bearing presidential assent, will be made available to enable Nigerians independently review the documents and verify the facts.
Heavy traffic and roadblocks slowed movement on New Year's Eve, forcing many residents to trek to crossover services. At Living in Christ Fire Ministry, Oyindamola Olukuton reports that the New Year was welcomed with praise, prayers, and messages centered on peace and hope for a better year.
On the night of December 31st into the early hours of January 1st, movement across parts of Lagos was slowed by traffic and roadblocks as residents made their way to crossover service and New Year gatherings. With vehicles stranded in long queues, many commuters were left with no option but to trek through the road to their destinations, determined to begin the new year on a spiritual note. At Living in Christ Fire Ministry, worshippers gathered for the annual Watch Night service, marking the transition into the new year with songs of praise and heartfelt thanksgiving.
Among the faithful ones, among the glorious ones, among the successful ones, it's not one that you get to you. It's not that you eat the best food, but you have put on the best clothes. I said, somebody shout hallelujah! Somebody that won millions. Can all go not millions. They are in the mortuary.
The service progressed into intense prayer session as members were lifted personal and collective petitions committing their hopes, families, and aspirations into God's hands for the year ahead. As midnight approached, congregants showed symbolic seeds into the new year, expressing faith, gratitude, and expectation for divine favor and breakthroughs. The highlights of the service was a word of exhortation delivered to the congregation, focusing on God's promise of peace, restoration, and guidance, encouraging members to remain steadfast despite challenges.
And I'm telling you, you trust you have a name, let it be strong. Tell your neighbor again. I can never fail. I can never fail.
With the declaration of the new year, prayers intensified as worshippers prayed into the year with renewed hope, trusting for a better, more peaceful and fulfilling year ahead. The crossover service ended with joy, reflection, and optimism, as members stepped into the new year believing in positive change and divine assurance. I'm Oyindamola Olokuto, reporting for Voice of the People TV.
Thank you very much, Oyinda. But in Benin City, the Edo State capital, correspondent Rhoda Johnny captured reflections, prayers, and expressions of faith during crossover night services as many Christians committed 2026 into God's hands with hopes for spiritual renewal, personal breakthroughs, and a season of fulfillment.
In Benin City, Edo State, ushered in the new year with prayers and expressions of faith during crossover night services held across churches in the state. Those who spoke with VOP TV shared expectations of entering 2026 with renewed hope, expressing trust in God for divine direction, spiritual growth, and breakthroughs in their personal lives.
My expectation is to be closer and closer to God. I will look at every mistake I made last year. I will ask God to help me to correct them this year so that I will serve Him better. Trusting God that the God who preserve us throughout 2025 will also preserve us. We saw the beginning of 2026. We will see the end of 2026. This year shall be 10 times better than last year in the name of Jesus. In this year 2026, the glory of God will be seen in our lives, and we have every cause to glorify His name. And I declare to you, Happy New Year!
They also conveyed hopes for peace, good health, family stability, and success in their various endeavors, while committing the year into God's hands.
I want to encourage every Nigerian to submit to God. God is our help in the midst of trouble. If we submit to God, this series of issues that we are contending with will become a testimony. My prayer is that God will help everyone, Christian and all others, to submit our hearts to God, to do what pleases God. And I am assuring everyone that 2026 shall be a very beautiful year. I'm grateful to God for bringing us into a new year, full of God's grace, full of God's favor. And my prayer is that all of us will join together to serve God. All of us will join together to love God, to follow Him wholeheartedly, and to make Him the Lord of our life, the Lord of our decision. And when we do this, the Lord is faithful to carry us through the year.
As the year begins, Christians in Edo State remain optimistic that their prayers and dedication will usher in a season of fulfillment and testimonies. In Benin, Rhoda Johnny, VOP TV News.
Very much, Rhoda, for that. Still on expectations for the new year. Correspondent Sochima Promise spoke with respondents in Awka, the Anambra State capital, many of whom said year 2025 was a very turbulent year and trying period for the economy and security. All the same, many as well still count their blessings in this report of mixed feelings.
Jedida, 2025 has been an amazing year, even as she counted many blessings and milestones reached within the year. Jedida is also looking forward to 2026 with excitement, being her year of graduation.
2025 was amazing. I mean, this year, next year, like 2026, I'm going to be a graduate.
However, Ms. Oju did not find it easy in the ending year 2025, saying the economic situation in the country made it not so favorable. According to her, 2025 was not really a beautiful experience, but hinges her hope in a better new year.
You know the economic situation in this our country now. But we just thank God we are pushing it. No, really. You know, in this life there is some ups and downs. But we thank God. That is the most important thing. We are alive to see the end of this year 2025. And we hope that 2026 will be more better. For favor, for more life, good health, and for to achieve more this year, 2026. Yeah.
Mr. Rock Abeladi was on the positive lane because according to him, being alive and healthy is good fortune, though he could not rule out the fact that the economic situation in the country brought a lot of stress. He noted that at the beginning of the year 2025, prices of goods and services went up just as there has been a downward trend towards the end of the year. He looks forward to a better economic situation in 2026 with the hope reducing the rate at which Nigerians seek greener pastures abroad.
Going on the positive lane, I'm going to see it as being a very good year because I'm alive and I want to be grateful to God for life and for the life of my family, loved ones, and everybody around me. But economically, on the other way around, it has not been a fun year because there's been a lot of struggle here and there to meet up with the economic situation in the country. Things at the beginning of the country, things faced up, skyrocketing. But towards the end of the year, we cannot deny the fact that things like PMS, which is the major means of mobility, dropped down a little bit. So on the average, well, it's good. And we are hoping that the economic situation of the country will get better. So that more Nigerians will realize that coming back home to invest is better than going out of the country because the Japa syndrome seems to kind of increase in this 2025. We're hoping that things will get better. Those on top or those up there will see the plight of the masses. The masses are not finding it funny. So we hope that things will get better and better so that people will be able to meet up and live a normal life.
A businessman, Austin, said 2025 was rough economically as the insecurity issues in the country rubbed off on businesses. He's looking forward to 2026 being a better year for him, his family, and Nigeria as a whole.
We thank God that God has been faithful. That's everything I will say, and I'm looking forward 2026 to be a better year for me. Yes, my family and also Nigeria.
I'm Sochima from his Voice of People Television.
Sochima, thank you so much. Well, let's bring it back to Lagos here. As Nigerians step into 2026, citizens are expressing renewed hopes, even as concerns linger over the implementation of the new tax laws that took effect today. Matthew Gumswada captured residents' expectations and aspirations for 2026 in this report.
The new year began with prayers and celebrations in many parts of the world. In Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in his New Year address wished Nigerians a happy and prosperous New Year, while assuring citizens that the year ahead will usher in brighter days for the nation. However, one major concern for many Nigerians in 2026 is the implementation of the new tax laws, which are scheduled to take effect in the new year.
The new government policy will definitely come into place. So this tax that the government is about to tax everybody, we should expect that it's not going to change, and everybody should just try and adjust with the new policy. That's all I will say. And I just believe that people should work more, do more, because it's a year of putting more effort in all you do, because the government is telling you government bringing in taxing policies, telling you that you should work more, do more, put more effort on everything you're doing. And I just wish that the government will pay interest into the work policies of various organizations so that they can be able to pay up this tax with ease, not somebody using all his salary.
Amid these concerns, Nigerians are also expressing hope and renewed aspirations for the year ahead, highlighting goals they believe will improve their lives and strengthen the country. Matthew Uguswada, reporting for Voice of the People Television.
Joining us virtually to analyze the news is Bankan Public Affairs Analyst Frank Ayala. Thank you very much for joining us. Please unmute your device. Also joining us virtually is public affairs commentator Joe Abuko. Thank you very much for joining us, Joe.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I got a bit confused here. But thanks for having me.
Sorry. We actually have two guests on virtually. So let me start with this. In his New Year message, which is the president to Nigerians, he assured a more robust economic growth for Nigeria in 2026, pledging to drive down inflation and, of course, strengthen foreign reserve. I want to ask you this. You know, many Nigerians actually feel like 2025 was a year of turbulence. But in his New Year speech, the president seems to applaud himself for the results he got from 2025. What would you say to this? Is the president living a reality that Nigerians are not aware of?
Well, again, thanks again for having me. Nigerians are used to listening to very uplifting New Year messages. It's a ritual that's gone on days and decades back, if not as long as we've been an independent country. So every January 1st, the president comes, addresses the nation and, sets out their plans and tries to inspire hope with words. But I think these words are beginning to ring hollow if we must tell ourselves the truth. In the president's message today, like you said, he beat his chest, talked about foreign reserve, talked about the GDP growth and all that stuff. Things like that don't mean much to the average Nigerians. Try explaining GDP to your grandmother in the village or to the vulcanizer by the roadside that's trying to get by on a daily basis. So it's good for the president to talk about when crafting economic policies or designing them or implementing them. The president and his economic team should think about what puts more money in the pockets of people or how to lessen the cost of living. No Nigerian is finding it better today than they did, say, 4-5 years ago. While the entire blame might not be put on the current administration, it's a struggle to see any policies that have made lives, as of now, easier for Nigerians. So the New Year message is what it is, but if you gauge the opinion of everyday people in Nigeria, they'll tell you life is tough. People are having to pay more for basic things, for groceries. If you need to buy a crate of egg now, you're going to pay around 6,000 naira. It cost a fraction of that 3 years ago. If you have to fuel your car now, you're paying, even with the recent price slash, you're paying around 700 and something naira. It cost about 190 naira 3 years ago. If you want to buy sardines, basic staple medication. So the government and the president indeed should talk about economic policies that people can relate to, things that make people say, oh, I have to spend less on this now. Is it transportation? Is it my health needs? Is it my food? I have a higher purchasing power. My rent doesn't cost me as much as it used to, or my naira is as strong as it was 3-4 years ago. But that isn't the case. And when the message focuses on foreign reserves and GDP, less than 2% of Nigerians can explain what these concepts mean. They don't know what it means. Like I say, try explaining GDP to your grandmother or to a roadside mechanic. They don't know what these things mean. What they know is if they go out there to procure goods or services, they have to pay higher and they are earning less than was the case. So as much as we appreciate the president for trying to fire up hope, for trying to inspire Nigerians, for telling them his government will continue to put in the work to make life easier, those stats they draw don't resonate with the average Nigerian.
Very well said, Joe. And by the way, it's good to hear from you again. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Yes. So you said something, right, that safety nets is what's missing. Of course, you remember when the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, visited President Tinubu. She had said that this administration has stabilized the economy. But what needs to happen now for there to be growth is to, come up with safety nets for the vulnerable, which is what you said. Ensure that the cost of living is drawn down, drastically. But I want for us to push this a little bit further. When President Tinubu came on board, he told Nigerians that, look, I mean well for you, there are going to be reforms, there's going to be prosperity. But for starters, you must bear the labor pains. That is like a pregnant woman. Before she gives birth, there are pains. But on the other hand, analysts are saying that his administration is sort of elitist, right? Take a look at the money they share at the end of the month. Every month now, I'm talking about the FAC allocations, where every governor comes to the FCT and they share these monies. They've been taking home more monies, but the people have been crying more. So would you say that this administration actually is elitist?
Maybe elitist might be a bit of a strong word, but I agree that policies by this government, there's anything trickling down to the people in terms of, and that's improving their quality of life. You're right. After the subsidies on petroleum products were removed, more money goes to state governments. But again, one wonders, did any thinking, did any strategy, did any plan go with that policy of subsidy removal? One would think the government, before it took that decision, would have sat down at the table with policy experts, with economists, with the right people to know how, I mean, we're going to make Nigerians pay a lot more for petrol. That means they're losing more money. How do we take steps that will ameliorate their suffering elsewhere? But that doesn't seem to have been done. Instead, more money is pushed to the states. We're told, oh, hold your governors accountable, hold governors accountable. It's not working. The people are having to deal with a real cost of living crisis. And one thing I keep asking us, if you look at the details, even though we're not talking about the tax laws, if you look at the detail, the meticulousness that have gone into designing this tax law and the explainers we've had, I keep asking, why did that level of detail go into redistributing the subsidy wealth? We don't see hospitals getting more, better quality medication or facilities as a result of savings from the subsidy. We don't see schools getting improved. We don't see the infrastructure and all. And then most importantly, we don't see anything as a result of that policy that's making Nigerians have a better quality of life. They're having to pay more because the subsidy removal meant money was taken out of people's pockets. They have to pay more. So the money is going to more to governors who stay in state capitals. To that extent, you may be right in saying it's elitist because it comes across like policies are designed just for people in state capitals, and even in state capitals, people in government houses. The men and women in the local governments, in the provinces, are yet to get the benefit of the economic policies of this administration, be it the Naira devaluation, be it the subsidy removal, and even with the tax law that people are facing up to since we've entered 2026, it's still hard to tell how that's going to benefit everyday Nigerians. So the government needs to take a hard look. The president needs to take a hard look at his policies, hear from Nigerians and not from his advisors, because this morning's speech, again, sounded like praise for himself. And that comes as a result of the brief the advisors put before the president. If he goes out there in Lagos, where he comes from, or goes out there in Kanu or in Akwa Ibom, and asks people in the streets, people in their homes, how are you faring? The results, the feedback you'll hear will be quite shocking. Nigerians are having a really tough time, and the economic policies, no matter how lofty the government drums up the outcome, they don't seem to be making life easy for Nigerians.
Okay, thank you very much, Joe. But let's move on to another aspect that the president touched on, which is security. And he's assuring that in 2026, security and intelligence agencies will deepen cooperation with regional and global partners to eliminate all threats to national security. With this statement, would you actually say that the president, that we are relying more on international collaboration than actually trying to do this on our own?
I'll understand people who might want to see things from that angle, given the drama with the U.S. government, the Christmas Day bombing, the Christmas Day strike, rather. in somewhere in Sokoto State and all. But yes, the government of Nigeria should take the bull by the horn when it comes to security. It's good to have international partners. It's good to collaborate, but international partners will not prioritize a third-party country the way they'll focus on their own country. So while that help is good, the government of Nigeria needs to take security very seriously. And it goes beyond talking, because it seems like we talk more security than we put action on the ground. I mean, it's not my space. I'm not privy to everything in there, but it's a bit embarrassing when we as Nigerians sit and watch U.S. congressional panels sit and discuss security in Nigeria or the security situation in Nigeria, and we don't see that level of seriousness within our country by the people we elected to govern us in the legislature and in the executive arm of government. No, Nigeria is facing a very dire security situation. We have kidnapping, we have all sorts going around in virtually every part of the country. The military is stretched, the police sometimes are not even visible in some of these security centers or incidents. So President Tinubu needs to change his strategy. I mean, I don't know what that strategy is, but the way we've carried on, it doesn't seem to be giving the results we want. So it's time for them to rejig, to recalibrate, and put security on the front burner, take it more seriously. Only when you do that will other countries show respect for Nigeria. But if we have a situation where international partners are the ones coming to conduct security operations in Nigeria, then I mean, it makes a joke of our sovereignty as a nation. So the president needs to lead from the front on security. There's nothing as of now to indicate we are giving the situation the seriousness it deserves, and we're running out of time.
All right, that's a safe place to land on that particular one. But let us quickly talk about another story that's on the front burner right now, Joseph. So you do know that when you're crossing from an old year to a new one, your heart is always soft, right? I guess that's what's happening to Senate President Akpabio right now. This is what he did. He has directed his lawyers to withdraw all going defamation lawsuits against several individuals. Now, the Senate President, who had filed nearly 9 lawsuits against individuals who he accused of defaming him, said at the Sacred Heart Parish in Uyo today that he was moved by the Clerics' Council during the New Year's Mass. So would you say that this is magnanimous of the Senate President, or would you say he actually knew these cases were merely academic? I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth. How would you react to this?
I think we should get that priest to, preach more sermons to Senator Akpabio on good governance and all sorts. Mm-hmm. But I mean, kudos to Senator Akpabio. It's a good thing he has decided to withdraw the lawsuits. I mean, he's a Christian. We are told to turn the other cheek. So even if he feels aggrieved genuinely by the drama with Senator Natasha, it's a good thing on New Year's Day he has chosen to let go and by withdrawing those suits. Lawsuits can be draining. Sometimes even when you get a victory in court, if you count the cost, it's not really a victory. For someone of Senator Akpabio's cadre and given how he does his things, I'm sure he will have hired some of the top senior advocates of Nigeria, and these people don't come cheap. So at the end of the day, the amount spent, the time, the bad publicity it creates, the bad blood, it's a good thing he has decided to let go. I'm sure Senator Natasha as well will, as much as she was willing to prove her case in court, will feel relieved that, okay, she'll spend her time on better thing. So kudos to the Senate President on this one. To me, that's a very good gesture. Nigerians shouldn't get carried away over analyzing whether he chose to drop it because he might have lost or it would have embarrassed him. No, it's a good gesture, and we should applaud him for that.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to what the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, has said. He actually urged Nigerian leaders to prioritize the welfare of citizens and embrace people-centered leadership in 2026. This was his New Year message to Nigerians. But I want to ask you, what would you see as people-centered leadership in the Nigeria we have today?
Exactly. It's what we were talking about a while ago, that leadership should address the needs, the yearnings, the aspirations of the people. It shouldn't be about keeping an elite living a luxurious lifestyle and all. So I agree with the former President Jonathan. Nigeria has struggled to make leadership, governance, people-centered. And it has driven a wedge between, those at the grassroots and those in positions of authority. Most Nigerians, no longer have confidence in government. They just shrug things off. Even when they vote not because they believe change is going to come, but probably just something they need to do. For they feel they'll get certain benefits right there at the polling unit. But when you speak about people-centered governance, again, you should address the needs of the people. What do the people want? They want the quality, a life of dignity. They want to be able to feed. They want to be able to have decent shelter. They want to be able to send their kids in school. They want to be secure, sleep with both eyes closed. We don't a country where one official goes around with how many policemen or military men in tow, while ordinary citizens can't even travel from one community to the next. Certainly, that is not a country that operates a people-centered form of governance and all. So what the former president is saying is for leaders in Nigeria, and the problem didn't start today though, but for leaders to take a step back, gauge what the citizens want. And the citizens don't want much, to be honest. Nigerians are not looking to be billionaires or very basics of life that guarantees them dignity, be able to feed, be able to move around, be able to feel secure and safe in their country. Where someone gets abducted from a football field and gets matched on foot somewhere. That's not the sort of leadership we want from our nation. So the current crop of leaders should listen to the former president and put the ordinary Nigerian at the very epicenter of their governance policies.
Fantastic as usual, Joe. Thank you so much. This is much we can take. We appreciate you coming on board today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. We've been speaking with Joe Abuku. He is a public affairs commentator. And now on the rest of the news. The National Judicial Council, NJC, has clarified that it had not reached a conclusion on the fate of the 62 legal practitioners seeking appointment as judges of the Federal High Court. In a statement ahead of its meeting, billed for January 13 and 14, to consider issues surrounding the FHC judges' appointments process, the body explained that the initial qualifying test was solely conducted by the Federal Judicial Service Commission, FJSC. It also faulted the claim that the 34 lawyers disqualified by the commission had failed the integrity test, saying that such claim did not reflect what transpired in the judicial appointment process. According to the NJC, while some candidates were disqualified due to petitions against them, others failed to advance to the interview stage because they did not secure the required score. 34 applicants who passed the computer-based test had earlier been disqualified by the FJSC.
Now we'll bring you more New Year messages as some eminent Nigerians and groups, including former Senate President David Mark, Governor Chukwuma Soludo of Anambra State, and Ohaneze Ndibo, have greeted Nigerians on 2026. In his message, the national chairman of the African Democratic Congress, Senator Mark, called on Nigerians to join the party's mission to better Nigeria. Mark, in the statement by Special Advisor on Media, Paul Mume, acknowledged the hardships faced by Nigerians in 2025, citing rising cost of living, food, basic drugs, and transportation. Criticizing the All Progressive Congress government for what he described as imposition of stringent taxes and renewed hopelessness, he emphasized that the ADC's commitment to patriotism and service to the people has brought a defining moment. Also, the President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo worldwide, Senator Azuta Mbata, called on Ndigbo and Nigerians at large to remain focused, law-abiding, peaceful and constructive in their engagement, stating the collective progress lies in inclusivity, unity and responsible citizenship. He commended Ndigbo for their resilience in the face of challenges, as well as their industry and renowned spirit of entrepreneurship, which had continued to distinguish them, urging them to remain encouraged that the future of Igbo nation remains bright. On the spot, Governor Soludo expressed optimism that 2026 would present the state with fresh opportunities to build on his administration's achievement. According to him, the government will learn from existing challenges and work collectively towards the goals and vision of the state defined by prosperity, adequate security, and sustainable development. He urged everyone to celebrate the new beginning by reflecting with gratitude on their resilience, industry, and patriotic spirit. In the meantime, the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Enoch Adeboye, has cautioned Christians that life-changing divine intervention requires complete and sincere obedience to God, not spiritual pretense. In his New Year message during the 2025 crossover service, Adeboye warned believers against complacency and deceive God. Urging total and sincere obedience, the cleric emphasized that God's ability to rearrange destinies in one night is activated not by partial compliance, but by total alignment with his will.
Now, on the foreign scene, Brazil's Supreme Court has rejected a request by former President Jair Bolsonaro for his prison sentence for plotting a coup to be converted to house arrest. Bolsonaro's lawyers submitted the request Wednesday, citing a real risk of a sudden worsening in health for the far-right former leader as reason to serve his 27-year sentence at home. The 70-year-old has been hospitalized for over a week after undergoing surgery for a groin hernia, and then a procedure to treat recurring bouts of hiccups. However, Judge Alexandra Moraes stated in his decision that contrary to what the defense alleged, there has been no worsening of Bolsonaro's health condition. Bolsonaro is suspected to be discharged from the hospital on Thursday, according to his doctors. He will then have to return to the small room where he is serving his sentence as a federal police facility in Brasilia.
We now move on to business. The Ebonyi state government says it has procured 3 aircraft under the Ebonyi Air, stating that they are expected to arrive in the state on January 26. Disclosing this in Abakiliki during his New Year broadcast, Governor Francis Nwifuru said it was part of the intensive drive to enhance the state's economy rather than about prestige. According to him, reliable air transport makes it easier for investors to do business, for professionals to move freely from the state, and for the people to connect with other parts of the country and beyond. He further explained that Ebonyi Air will support business growth, encourage tourism, and reduce the time and cost of travel, while strengthening the state's position as one ready to engage with the wider economy and attract new opportunities.
Well, in sports news, Gabon has banned veteran players Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Bruno Manga and suspended the whole national team, while also sacking the coaching staff following the Panthers' disastrous showing at the Africa Cup of Nations, AFCON, where they exited the group stage. Sports Minister Simplice Mambula announced that given the Panthers' disgraceful performance at the AFCON, the government has decided to dissolve the technical staff, suspend the national team until further notice, and remove players Manga and Aubameyang. An injury time winner by Bazumana Toure condemned Gabon to a 3-2 defeat against defending champions Cote d'Ivoire on Wednesday, with the third consecutive defeat in as many outings, ensuring that they finished rock bottom of Group F below Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon and Mozambique. The national team's performance at the tourney was reportedly reviewed by the Council of Ministers, the following which meant that Gabon could not progress to the knockout stages. Aubameyang returned to his French club Marseille due to a thigh knock after Sunday's 3-2 defeat to 102nd ranked Mozambique.
And finally, in entertainment, Nollywood's festive movie season has been overshadowed by allegations of copyright infringement involving 2 Christmas-themed films after A Christmas to Love by Lily Perez Films emerged as a top 5 family Christmas movie on YouTube after its release in December. However, viewers later accused Judge Hates Christmas, produced by Chinilove Eze, of copying key elements of the earlier film, including its storyline, characters, and scenes. The backlash intensified after actor Baj Adebule said he identified major similarities between both films and questioned the originality of the script. The controversy has renewed calls for stronger copyright enforcement and better protection for emerging filmmakers in the industry. Also, Lily Perez Films is demanding public acknowledgement of originality, suspension of the disputed film, a formal apology, compensation, and intervention by relevant industry bodies.
And that wraps it up for us on News Hour. Thank you so much for watching. I am Vivian Oguche.
And I am Nenna Ndomdioto. Happy New Year once again.
More than a voice.